Hi. Hi. Hello, everyone. My name is Kim, and I'm one of the training consultants here at Inspect Real Estate. On the panel this afternoon to help me out, I've got the lovely Natasha Wood. She's one of our learning and development specialists for the Reapit brand, and we will be able to assist with any questions going forward. So thank you, guys. Okay, so a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. At any time during the webinar, if you would like to ask any questions, please use the chat feature. That's already and turned on, ready for you to go. So Tash will be able to answer any of your questions. We'll be doing a little bit of engagement today as well. So we'll be running a couple of little polls so we can get you engaged and perhaps we'll have a little bit of fun while we're working through what we've got to get through today. So just to give you a little bit of an idea of what we're covering off on today, we're going to have a look at the system views and customizations of those views and searches. So that's all about your column choosers, etc., and saving those views. We're also going to be working through adding and managing your inquiries and inspections. We're going to be using mobile ROL while we're conducting your inspections on site. We're going to have a look at the on-off list and we will talk to the importance of that because there's a few cheeky things that you might want to be aware of while we're going through that on list. And also we'll do an intro to the ideal week. So to get us started, we're going to jump in and do a poll now. So if you could jump in and just get the poll up and running, Tash, that would be great. And it's just about how many of you are using mobile ROL, and it's more around, if you're using the owner reports, those sorts of features as well. Don't be shy. Just take a couple of minutes to go through that. Cool. Okay. Thanks, guys. We might just close that little poll off now. Thank you so much. All right. Well, we might as well get stuck straight into it. Thanks for participating with the polls, guys. I'm just going to share my screen with you. So what we're going to look at first is just that little bit of information around the column selection and your views. So IRE has, as you know, a direct feed from domain and REA. So you won't be receiving any emails every time you get a tenant inquiry on a rental. So this is monitored in the letting summary screen, which is the screen we're looking at now. So once everything's set up in your back end, essentially this grid is going to be able to show you just exactly what part of the process your inquiries are at. So it's the full journey from first inquiry to participating in an inspection, etc. So the main idea of the rentals product is so we can take that manual processing away. So the whole idea of this is to be able to just go through this as easy as you can without having too much stress around, handling those inquiries. So it's a pretty sort of responsive platform, and it'll help you sort of understand the best way to kind of go through and navigate through that journey with your clients. So under the letting summary screen, it's always going to default to that screen. If you've got the opportunity where you're sort of fairly new to the system, it's always a great idea to be able to save any of your favorite screens. So how we do that is simply click on the favorites tab up here, and we can add any current page that we want to. And you can name it anything that you want to as well. So Why we do that is when you get used to navigating, if you just log in and select the favorite page that you want to access, then it's just going to make that process a little bit easier for you as you go through. Now, what we're going to do over on the right-hand side is we're going to have a look at our column chooser. So when you click on the eye with the little eyeball through it, this is where you can sort of select what columns you want to view in your grid. Now, as you can see, I've got one set up with the address of my current listings. Now that comes through from your uploader, so whatever platform you're using to upload your listings, that's going to drop straight into the IRE platform. You've got your inspections available, tenants waiting, tenants not registered, tenants booked. So that's why it's really important to have this grid set up the way you would like to have it. So again, just going into that little eye, and then you can move these around. You can deselect anything that you need to. Then you can save that view. When you save that view, you can also click on the three little action dots on the right-hand side, and then you can give that view a name. As you go through that, then it's going to start building up a little drop-down menu here. So you've got those grids to choose from when you're in that specific favorite page. Okay, so as we're going through the journey, it's really great to be able to see, we use that traffic light system. So at a glance, you can sort of see, okay, how many inspections have we got set up on our current listings? Anything in green's great, good to go. Anything in red, we're just sort of mindful that we need to potentially have something actioned on that. So we need to create an inspection for that. We can see that we've got how many tenants are waiting for inspections to be created. We've also got the opportunity to see how many tenants are registered, have not registered, but have made an inquiry on the property. This column here is for your tenants that have booked. Now, the tenants inspected one is just for previous inspections that you've already conducted. Okay, so it just shows you that opportunity to have a look at what's going on there. Now, each one of these is interactive as well. So you can easily click through and have a look at those 5 people that have inspected the property, for example. This is also your tenants matched. So that means that any inquiries that have been made on properties in your live listings, it will match people to those particular properties once they've made that inquiry. Then this column over here shows the total amount of inquiries that have come through for each property. Now, over on the right-hand side, you can also see some little action dots. Now, this is where you can register tenants for inspections. You've got the option to find a tenant, and then you've also got, which is a new feature, an opportunity to review and send an owner report on how their property is tracking. I'll just show you each one of those just so you can see. So that's if we need to register a tenant. This one here is find me a tenant. So that's where we tap into the database of people that have downloaded Tenant app to their mobile device, so we can reach out to them and market to them directly. And then, of course, we've got the opportunity to send our owner a report on how their property is tracking. Okay. Now, if there's any questions, by all means, jump on in that chat feature and just pop your questions in there. Tash is there, able to help you if you do have any questions. Now, once you've created your listing in the market, we'll start that again. Once we create your listing, so whenever you've uploaded your listing for market, what's going to happen is you're going to receive, or the listing agent's going to receive, what we call an on list. So that means that when you've created that property, an email will get sent to the listing agent or the property manager, but primarily listing agent. Then what it's going to do is enable you to click on that link and take you through the final stages of on listing that property. And we'll go through that together now. So when we're in the on list, it's going to come as a little link to you via email. And it's a 7-step process. So as we're going through, this is where you can choose what marketing date you would like to offer and the time of that marketing. This is where you can add the available date. Most of this will be pulled through from your uploader, mind you, but if there's any changes that need to be made to that, this is your opportunity to do that. This is your recommended lease term that you would put through. And then, of course, all this information has been pulled through from your uploader, okay? And you need to have most of these areas generated just so we can make sure that we're going through the list properly. So it will error out if you haven't filled in a specific field. There's a good example. So we need to make sure that we put the rental amount in there. Step 2 is where you're going to be able to select your property managers. Now, this is where you can select from your drop down anyone else in your office. You can also add any assistants in your office, BDM if necessary. One really good point to be aware of here is your access notes. So why this area is really important is because if there's any issues where, just say I'm the listing agent and I'm going to be conducting the inspection on this property. However, when I've created that inspection, I'm not able to actually facilitate that. I'm going to have to ask one of my team members to do that for me. So, but if there's specific requirements around entry to that property that my colleague will need to know, then this is where we would type that information here. Again, any alarm codes, etc. as well. This is also where you can add a key number to the property if you need to. When we click on the next tab, this is where we can add any tenancies. So if you're advertising a property that is currently occupied, then this is where we would want to add those tenants' details. Why? Because it's a really important part in the communication piece. So if we're creating an inspection, we want to make sure that we're alerting our occupants that there's going to be an inspection. Obviously, you're going to have that phone call as well, but we also send out email communication as well, which is an auto response, by the way. So as soon as you generate it, that occupant is going to get that notification. This is where we'd also add our owners. Now, owners is a really important part of the process as well. Why? Because when we're doing our reporting, we need to make sure that we've got our owner details added. Also, when we're doing or conducting our inspections online, we want to make sure that as soon as we save that inspection on site, that our owner has the opportunity to receive that report in real time. This is where we get into a little bit more nitty-gritty. So if you wanted to add any additional features that are going to be advertised in or marketed in the property, then this is where you can go ahead and select additional features. This is where you can also put an application limit. So if you've got a pretty hot market in the state that you're living in now, or working in now rather, and you'd like to cap the amount of applications if you're using our To Apply product, then you've got the opportunity to do that. With our merge fields, this is a game changer. This is where you can make sure that you're including every little piece of information that you can to help that inquirer through their journey of information. So for example, if there's something specific that relates to this property that we're marketing, maybe the owner only wants a 9-month lease, for example, then that's where you'd put that kind of information in here. Why? Because any auto response that goes out to that inquirer when they make that first inquiry with us, whether it's through REA or Domain or whatever portal they've come through to, the outgoing response is going to have whatever you've typed in this field. Same with any pet specific information, etc. When we go on this step, this is where we can add additional inspections. There's a few ways to add inspections. Some agents don't like adding the inspection at the on-list stage, but it is an option for you. But I will show you through some other ways that we can add inspections. It's not necessary to add an inspection straight up. This is one of my favorite steps now, because what this is when you've got clients that have made an inquiry on your properties, it captures that inquiry and basically matches them to the property that you're just about to list. So you can actively market to that person straight away, and you can send this listing to that person straight away, or those people. And then, of course, the next step is finalized. So this is where we've got Find Me profiles. So this will tap into those people that have downloaded Tenant app to their mobile device. So as much as your on list is important, your off list is as well, and we will talk to that a little bit later. Okay, if there's ever a reason why you haven't, as the listing agent, received that on list via email, the other way you can access that information is under your reports tab. You're going into your letting, and then you're going into your on-off list. So that's just another way you can access that on-off list if you haven't received it via email. Okay, the next part we're going to move on to now is how we're going to add our inquiries. So Inspect Real Estate has a really easy way to capture inquiries through API and also through REA domain. And this allows us also to embed that book inspection button and the to apply link if necessary. So the whole idea of this is to make sure that your tenants are going to be able to book an inspection with ease without having to contact you directly, and also be able to apply for the property should you have it provisioned that you will allow and accept applications prior to inspection. Okay, so when we look at our inquiries, same thing. We're going to go under letting, and we're going to go under the inquiries tab. Now, with the inquiries tab, again, I can't stress enough the customization of these views, because you really want it to return the information that's important to you, so you can look at it at a glance and you've got everything at your fingertips. So again, that column chooser up here, move whatever you need to around and save that view. We've got our selector tool here. This is a great tool because this will allow us to be able to communicate with our clients in bulk. When we've got the property address listed towards the front, this will allow us to filter on any property specific that we want to. So if we just wanted to hone in on one specific property, we can simply just jump on into that and start typing in the property that we want to hone into, and then do a search. And what will happen with that is it will just return the inquiries that we want to focus on for that property. Now, other things here, you can see the source information, obviously the tenant name. Tenant messages we'll come back to, but that's a really important column to have sort of in the forefront. And then we've also got contact logs, property managers, etc. So with the 3 action dots on each inquiry, what we can do here is we can actually go ahead and register a tenant to an inspection. How we do that is we just simply click in and we select the options that we've got in front of us and the time. All right. Once we're able to do that, then what will happen for our client is that they're going to get an auto response saying that they've confirmed for the registration for the inspection of this property. Other things on the 3 action dots, we can edit any tenant information that we want to. So if we click on edit, we can add any additional call notes. We can put in a follow-up date, save that information against that record. We've also got the opportunity to look at full details here, and we'll go into that a little bit more later. But the other thing we can do up here is 3 action dots on the top right-hand side, and we can actually add a new tenant inquiry as well. What we do is we put in the property, just their details. Always like to start with a phone number and do that little swirly thing here, because if they've made an inquiry on your properties before, then that allows us to sort of get that information pre-populated. Again, any follow-up notes you want to make, any additional call notes that you want to add, you can do there. Other things you can do here also is our big orange button. I'm sure most of you would be familiar with that by now, but we can register tenants for inspections here. We simply put in the address of the property. Then we can start populating this information down here. Again, starting off with the mobile phone number. Now, if there's no inspection times available, then we can simply send a register link. Why we do that is because once we add their details into the system, as soon as an inspection becomes available for that property, then that person will be notified automatically. We can also send the to apply link here as well. Once we've added all the information that we wanted to, we can just click out and close the page. You'll also notice with the big create new button here as well, you can add people to just a marketing list. That's really beneficial when you've got people that might be looking or inquiring from interstate, and they're like, oh, can you add me to your marketing list? We're not moving up for a little while, but I'd love you to keep my details. So it's a great opportunity to expand your database there. You've also got the opportunity to send the apply link from the big create new button as well. What we're going to do now is go in and just have a look at how we're going to go through and manage those inquiries a little bit further. Now, I showed you a few little cheeky tricks that you can do with the 3 action dots. So again, we've got the register a tenant, we can edit tenant information, we can view full details of the tenant as well. So this is their full contact card. This is any comments that we want to add to the details. And this is also an opportunity that we can change any inspection that we've added them to. We can confirm, we can cancel their registration, we can make them inactive if necessary. And what the bottom part's going to do is also going to be able to give you the opportunity to view their application as well, and it will also show any other prospects or any other matches based on their profile of inquiry. We can just close that there. Now, other things that we can do, again, we can make them inactive, but just word of warning, they do, whenever any communication goes out from IRE, what happens is we do have an unsubscribe button at the bottom of every single notification that we send out. So they can actually, remove themselves or unsubscribe, but essentially we've got the opportunity to do that as well. Now, this is where we can actually go in and have a look at any tenant messages as well. Now, I wanted to sort of talk to you about this just because when we've got auto responses that go out, if there's specific information or specific inquiries that they're making, obviously we'd need to pay some time and respond to them directly. So what we'd want to do is jump in, click on their name, and that'll bring up the little option down here. So this is their comment that they've made around the inquiry, and this is where you can actually respond to them as well. Okay, so if there's not room for a small boat at that property, then this is your opportunity to let them know that, because that's going to determine whether they're going to bother registering to attend that inspection or not. Okay, other things that we can do also when we're in this screen is be able to communicate holistically with our clients. Again, we can just do that little column chooser where we can filter on a specific property, or we can select all inquirers or perhaps just some inquirers, and that's going to give us the option to have this little toolbox down here. So what this one is that's the re-advise of any times that we've got for inspections coming up for those properties. This is where we can also make them inactive. And this is also where we can send a bulk email. Just FYI, it is all BCC'd, so no one will receive anyone else's contact information. That's not visible at all. And then this is where we can make any call notes if we need to. It's a really good way to communicate holistically with your clients just by using that grid. Just a reminder, keep pushing through your little questions if you have any in the chat feature, so Tash can respond to those if necessary. All right. The next part we're going to have a look at now is we're going to go in and have a look at our inspections. So a few things we're going to cover off on in here is looking at the grid and how we can edit any information, and we'll also go in and have a look at the run wizard and then using mobile ROL as well. So with IRE lettings, it's really easy to create and manage your inspections, and there's a variety of ways we can do this. So with any new inspections, we can edit, as I said, we can change dates, times, or anything like that. So I guess the best way to show you is just jump on in, showing you this little icon here too. Just be aware that this is always going to default to what future inspections you've created. If you're wanting to look at past or historical inspections that you've done, then just click on the little down arrow, and then that's going to return all the inspections that you've done over the last 90 days. There's a few reasons why that's a good thing, but we'll talk to those in other webinars moving forward. So with the letting inspections, again, we've got our little column chooser. So massage this to however you think best suits your needs. And just be mindful too, whenever you're changing views around in here, it's not going to affect anyone else's login. It's really primarily login specific. So under your login, if you want to save a view, change columns around, it's not going to affect anyone else at any point in time. Now we've got a few inspections created here. If I needed to change any of this information for whatever reason, I can simply jump in and change that date. I can change the time, the duration. I can advertise this inspection on my portals. I can override the default of the maximum amount. This would be really beneficial if you do have a tenanted property. Why? Because you might want to limit the amount of people that are walking in and out of that property if it's already occupied. So it's just an opportunity to be able to do that. Now, there's also some other great features here. You've got the 3 action dots, our famous 3 action dots on the right-hand side. You can actually add this inspection to your calendar as well. That's if you haven't already integrated your calendars, and I can show you that in a moment. But essentially, it's a really good opportunity to make sure that you've got that popping up in your calendar, just so it sort of blocks out that time. It'll send you the appropriate reminders, etc., etc. Now, you're probably thinking, how can we add a new inspection from here? We can just by clicking on the 3 action dots, click on New Inspection, or we've also got that beautiful big orange Create New button on the top right. When we click on that and we just go into the new rentals inspection, again, we'll just go in and start typing what property we want this to be for. Select our team member of who's going to facilitate that. Then you're putting in your times, your dates, times, duration again. Again, this is where we can make it a private inspection if we needed to. We can advertise on our portals, and we can set the maximum amount of tenants, etc. I'll just close that, and then of course you'd save and close. If we're just going to do it from the 3 action dots, again, it's just New Inspection, and it's going to take you through to exactly the same screen here. It's probably a good transition, I guess, to talk about the ideal week. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the ideal week, an ideal week is probably a great opportunity if you've got a really busy office where you might want to only do or conduct opens on certain days of the week. Then this is your opportunity to kind of consider that as an option should it be suitable for your agency. Now, if you're wanting to have a look at the settings for the ideal week and create it, we can do an actual training session on that because there is a little bit to setting it up, but I'll just give you a bit of an intro now. Under settings, and this will be for your diamond level user, under your settings, under your letting, you've got the option to click on that ideal week. Now, when you select the ideal week, what you'd be doing is you'd be selecting the team member that you wanted to add that ideal week for. When you do that, you can click on the 3 action dots and just start adding what days in for that specific person. It's always going to default with Monday, so you're going to change that and make it suit your needs. Same with being able to add inspection times and just keeping it to certain days of the week and certain timeframes. We've also got the opportunity to add in when the agency is not available. So great when you've got, the option of holiday periods coming up or some of your leasing agents are on leave, then you can add that information there as well. So please let us know if that's something that you would like to utilize down the track, because it can be pretty beneficial when you've got a very busy office and a lot of inquiries for inspections. Something to keep in mind. All right, the other part to this was going to be able to show you how we go through the Run Wizard. So we've gone and had a look at how we can add these ad hoc and manually, but what we're going to do now is how we're going to go in and use it via the Run Wizard. So you do one or the other. We're not creating inspections and then using the Run Wizard. We'll have to do it using the Run Wizard if you've got a variety of properties that you want to show on a specific day. Okay, so where we went to is under letting inspections, and we've got the option to click on that Run Wizard. Again, you're going to select the appropriate team member. Then we're going to add in what the inspection day is that you want to create this run for. Then we're just going to simply click on the little Run Wizard through each step that we need to. Now this is where we can select from what properties we've got available. And we would just select those. We can select all of them if necessary, but if it's just 3 or 4, we just select those. We add them to our list. When we add to the list, you can see them there. You can also highlight and remove from list if necessary. Then we click on the next step. This is where we can select our start locations. So most times, or 9 times out of 10, I'm sure you'd probably be starting at the office because you're going to collect those keys for those properties. But there could be an opportunity where you might want to start the inspection from the first property. Whatever that looks like for you, that's what you'd be selecting here, and of course your stop location as well. When we click on the calculate inspection, what's going to happen with this is it's just going to take a few seconds to work out what the run time frame is going to be for you. So it's telling us that it's selected those. Now we can provide a start time, maybe that might be 10 o'clock. Then we can add in and get it to auto-populate those times for us. If you needed to change any of these times, you can do that as well. You can clear times as well. You've got your inspection duration, but we've also allowed a little bit of lockup time as well. And then you can go through and decide if that's what you need. When we've got to the stage of confirming our inspections, it's just going to show up like this and show you what you've got here, which is your first inspection at 1:30 and then your next inspection moving forward. Sorry, that's 10:30, not 1:30. We can also click on advertise on all portals at this stage as well. So the Run Wizard says that it's got two new inspections. Are we happy with that? We're going to click OK. When we click OK, what happens here is that it's going to tell us that we've got a few people waiting for these times to be provided on this property. So we can click OK, and then those tenants are going to be automatically sent that notification. Now, because we've created that, then essentially what's going to show up is that we've got that run also added into our inspections list here. All right. Now, once we've created all the inspections that we've needed to, we're going to conduct the inspections. So this is where we would click on to mobile ROL. Now, it's always going to default to the day that you're on. So if you're wanting to have a look at historical dates or future inspection dates through mobile ROL, it's just a matter of selecting what you need to here. Now, I had one that I prepared earlier. So I'm just going to walk you through a little bit of navigation around mobile ROL. So mobile ROL, as you know, it's not an app, it's definitely just the URL, and you bookmark that to your mobile device. So if you do have troubles or have had any issues saving that and bookmarking that to your mobile device, please let us know in the chat feature, and we'll be able to, I'll be able to follow up after our webinar today and get you some advice on where you can go to get that set up for yourself. So when we're in mobile ROL is a pretty powerful tool because we can do a variety of things here. You've got the opportunity to sort of have a look at all runs for the office, your specific runs, inspections. You can provide owner updates and all that sort of stuff. So it's a really useful little tool when you get familiar with it. So using the all runs feature, it's going to show you what runs are on for the day because it says all runs, so that's for your office. Then you can go ahead and click on open. If you wanted to look at your runs specifically, you just click on my runs. So this is Kim's runs. Then we can see what we've got going on. Okay, shows us that we've got how many people have registered, etc. If we wanted to create a new inspection for any of our properties, we could also do that here. And if we wanted to send our reports to our owners, we could do that in bulk here as well. But if I wanted to jump in and have a look at just my specific inspection for that day, I'm going to start marking people off shortly. I'll just show you a little bit of navigation through this. Now, the first part is around the tasks. Tasks are really beneficial because when we've got that owner added, we can add any comments for our owner that are relevant about the property that we've noticed when we are conducting that inspection. So if the lawn needs a mow, we can take a picture and we can include that picture in that owner report. And I'll show you what that looks like shortly. When we've got our tenants and we're conducting the inspection, this is where we're just going to go ahead and sign them off as they've walked through the door. We're also going to ask them if they're applying, and there's an option if they've already applied. Once we go through this, we can actually save that inspection. Before we do though, there's a couple of other things I wanted to show you. If we needed to register someone, so we've advertised the inspection and this person's showed up to the inspection, but they haven't actually registered themselves. Got a couple of options here. We can add them straight away, or the other option is you've got your little QR code here. You can actually get them to hover over that QR code on your mobile device and they can register themselves. While we're in here, I'll just show you that little late feature as well. You're probably all familiar with that one. When you click on that little late feature, you can show and let people know that are registered for the inspection if you're going to be running late. So the whole idea is to encourage those registrations to come through because it's notifications like that that we want to make sure that our clients are receiving. All right. Now, when we add manually to the platform, what's going to happen is they're automatically going to be ticked off as having attended the inspection, okay? Because you're registering them at that point in time, so it's already going to mark them off as having attended. Now, for those that have already pre-booked and going to the inspection and show up at the inspection, you may see something called the tenant entry pass, which is another QR code. So I'll just show you real quick what that looks like as well. So what happens is when somebody's registered for that inspection, they're going to receive that auto response to say, hey, thanks for your registration. I'll just show you the body of this here. I've just gone into the email log to show you guys this. When you scroll down, you'll see this entry pass. Why that's a benefit is when you're actually at the inspection, then as soon as you can scan that entry pass, it's going to automatically mark them off as having attended the inspection. So it's just a really nice, easy way to get them registered, like added them as attended straight away. So it's just going to be easy for you to do. That was only a new feature brought out earlier this year. Now, once we save that inspection, it's going to generate our little PDF. And this is where we can decide whether we're going to send that PDF to our owner at point in time. Now, again, those little comments that we made about the lawn needing mowed, we've also included that picture. So now the owner can see for themselves in that report that they need to spend some time getting that sorted. The alternative to that full report, we've also got what we call an owner quick report. With that owner quick report, it's just going to give them a snapshot of who attended and any information about the property that we've added. So you would send quick report. I'm just going to pause because I've been talking a lot and just making sure that if you've got any questions, by all means, just pop in and get those answered. Now, once we've conducted our inspections, we've gone through everything, we've provided the reports to our owners, we're going to get what we call our off list. So as much as that on list was important, the off list is just important. Now I've saved the on off list as a favorite, and I'm just going to go ahead and action my off list. So there's a few here that I can action. What we're going to do is click on the action button here. We're going to say, yep, we're confirming that we're off listing this property, and that's going to take it out of the active market. Why? Property's been leased. Then we can start putting in what date that happened, what sort of a property lease term it was, if it was a fixed term, etc. We can put down any information here, and then we confirm that off list. Now, when we confirm the off list, it does a couple of things. It tells us that this property is no longer listed, and anyone that had been actively inquiring on that property previously, it's going to let them know that that property is no longer available. So it just gives you a real good opportunity to sort of get that information out there in the marketplace as soon as possible. One last thing that I wanted to tell you too is if you're using a connections provider or a utilities connection provider, primarily Move Me In, there's an auto sort of connection as soon as you sort of create that off list and action that off list, notification is going to go straight to MMI if you haven't already done that through the application process. All right, now we've covered off on a lot today. So I just wanted to recap. We've covered off on how to customize our views. We've also covered off on how we're going to manage those inquiries and inspections, and then mobile ROL and a little bit of an introduction to the ideal week. So with that in mind, I've got one more little poll before you all leave me today. And I just wanted to see and get a response around what your takeaways were from today's webinar. I'd be really interested to hear if there was anything that you had been more familiar with or become more familiar with now that we've finished with our little session. Okay, so it may not have popped up for us. If not, just pop that in the chat feature for me and tell me what your takeaways were from this, because I'd be really interested to know if there was something else that you had learned from your webinar today. So the final slide I just wanted to walk through today was just to let you know, because we've had so many changes with IRE, as you're aware, I just wanted to let you know what that means for you as the end user, as our clients. We've merged, obviously, with Repit. Repit is now our parent company, but they also are one of the leaders in property technology. So they also have brands known as Agent Box, which some of you may be familiar with already in our sales division. We've also got Agent Box Digital, obviously Inspect Real Estate, Console, and Move Me In. So I just thought I'd give you a little snapshot of who our parent company is, just so you're aware of what other brands sit under the Repit umbrella. So that's it for today's webinar. We do have a great webinar coming up. We've got a couple actually. There's another one for Mobile ROL, which will be a deep dive. I think that's in July. And where you can go to have a look at our upcoming webinars is, if I just share my screen with you again, if you go down into your help feature down here, we've got webinars, and then you can see anything that's up and coming moving forward. All right, team, thank you for your engagement today. Really appreciate your time, and please enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you so much.